Right, we can start. Right, my friends, I think we now know that the exam date, they've set it too near. So we want to do something that will help us so that we can be able to cover the things that are important prior to the exam. So I would like you to read on revenue. Revenue is one of your major topics. I would like you to read on revenue. Of the major the topics that are remaining, the major one that has not been done is revenue. The other ones are smaller topics, but the one that I really want you to make sure it's revenue. So for now, I would ask you to read on the theory on revenue. That is between today and Thursday. Then when we do our class on Thursday, I'm going to deal with revenue. So what I want you to read the theory, then I will come with the exam type questions that I expect you to face. Then we'll deal with questions so that we don't take time. So please, I'm pleading with you because of the time factor. Can you please look at the theory regarding revenue? Then when I come, I will have my questions. Then I will show you how to deal with revenue, and through the questions, that way we'll be able to deal with the what, with any issues that are there. Then if we are able, I think I'm also going to organize other classes around the weekends so that maybe we can have more practice on the exam type questions. But I want more of my classes to deal with questions. I will explain everything whilst doing questions so that you understand how to do the things. In the meantime, today we want to finish off on provisions. Right, before I proceed, any questions on what I've said? No questions. Okay, so we'll proceed with the provisions. Right, we're dealing with the provisions. Right. And when we're doing provisions, we dealt with question 1, and that was question 1 and question 2. So I want to continue with those questions so that we can be able to do some more, so that we can be able to have more understanding of the topic. But this will be the last day where we are ending. I will not come back on this topic next week. So we did question 2. Let's look at question 3. Question 3. Right, Ubushle Limited is a diversified South African listed company involved in the manufacturing and retail of medical products. These medical products are sold locally and overseas. The profit before tax of Ubushle Limited for the year ended 31 December 2018 amounted to 1,950,000 before taking into account any adjustments as a result of the additional information below. Right. So then our year end is a very important thing, as it will determine a lot of factors when we are answering this question. Right. So our year end is 31 December 2018. Our year end is 31 December 2018. Right. Then the next thing is to check our required. Remember, I told you that before you go into all the additional information, you have to understand what is the required, so that as you read, you direct yourself towards what is required. The question A, give the disclosure requirements of the claim of 150,000 in additional information 1 in the annual financial statements of Ubushle Limited for the year ended 31 December 2018. Your answer must comply with the requirements of only IAS 37 provisions, contingent liabilities, and contingent assets. Right. Let's go to first of all, for us to explain the disclosure requirements, we first have to understand what category the additional information falls under. Is it a provision? Is it a contingent liability? Is it a contingent asset? Then from there, we'll be able to understand what is going to happen with that 150. So let's go and read that 150 for us to have a picture of what is required there. Right, so we're dealing with question 3. Right. This is question 3. Part A. Right, Ubuntu Limited started to export their weight control tablets to the United Kingdom. Remember, our company is Ubuntu Limited. Ubuntu Limited widely advertised this product in the UK press. The advertisements of the weight control tablets included the slogan, "Lose the belly with our weight control tablets and keep drinking beer." Right, as a result of this advertisement, the United Kingdom Brewers Forum UKBF instituted a claim of 150,000 against Ubuntu Limited on 15 December 2018. So this claim happened during the year. Remember that our year is ending on 31 December 2018. Right, they are of the opinion that this advertisement insinuates that men in the UK are overweight due to drinking beer, which negatively affected beer sales. At year end on 31 December 2018, the lawyers of Ubuntu Limited estimated that there is 80% probability that the claim will be unsuccessful. There is 80% probability that the claim will be unsuccessful. The court case is scheduled for 24 February 2019. Right. From our previous classes, we discussed the 3 scenarios that we have whenever a claim is made against the company. There are 3 scenarios that can be there. Number 1 scenario, if it's probable that the claim will be successful. When we say it's probable, that means the higher chances are that the claim will be successful. Then we have to recognize a provision. We recognize a provision if a claim against us is expected to be successful. We recognize a provision. When a claim made against the entity is expected to be successful, we recognize a provision. Right, that's number 1 scenario. Number 2 scenario, if the claim it will probably not succeed, then we will recognize a contingent liability. We recognize a contingent liability. If it's just probable, like if it's the chances of the case not being successful are high, then we will have to recognize a provision, a contingent liability. Then if the chances are remote, then we don't do anything. If the chances are remote, we don't do anything. Right. So now we are told that in this case, there's an 80% probability that the claim will be unsuccessful, which means the chances of success for this case is only 20%. So it's highly likely that the company will be successful and these guys who are suing us are not going to win the case. Is that right? The higher chances they will not win the case, but there's still that 20% that they will win the case. We can't call that remote. So as a result, in this case, we have to recognize a contingent liability. Is that right? Right. So the company should recognize a contingent liability as it is not probable that the claim will be successful. There's only a 20% chance of success. It's a question, when we say probable, it's a question of probability. The probability that the claim will be successful is less than 50%. That means it is not probable that the claim will be successful. So we should recognize a contingent liability. Right. A contingent liability is disclosed in the notes to the financial statements. and the following have to be disclosed. Right. You should distinguish that from a provision. A provision we don't just disclose, we present it in the financial statements. Whereas a contingent liability, we just disclose in the notes. A provision you disclose in the notes, and you also what? You also have to adjust your financial statements, so it will be affected in the financial statements. But a contingent liability, we don't adjust the financial statements. We just have to what? Disclose in the notes to the financial statements. All right. So the following have to be disclosed: a brief description of the nature of the contingent liability, and where possible, right? So we're saying when we say a brief description, like in this case, we have to state that this other brewers association, they sued us because of an advertisement which they thought resulted in a decrease of sales. That's the brief description. Then if it's possible, right, we also have to disclose the estimate of the financial effect which were given. That is what? 150,000. The effect is 150,000. Right. Then an indication of the uncertainties relating to the amount or timing of an outflow. If there is any chances of the cash flows being very different from what is estimated, we have to disclose that. Right, possibility of any reimbursement. That means if we are going to face anything, the chances that there will be a reimbursement. Right. So these are the major things that we have to disclose. So at the end of the day, we have to disclose that it is 150. Then we have to explain the basis why we deem this to be a contingent liability instead of a provision. So that means we have to describe that our legal advisors have advised us that there's an 80% chance that the claim will be unsuccessful. Is that right? So that will be an indication of the uncertainties relating to the amount or timing of any cash flow. Because when we say that there's an 80% chance that they will be unsuccessful, with that statement, we are already disclosing that there's an uncertainty regarding this date. Because it means there's an 80% chance that will be successful, they will be unsuccessful, and another 20 that they can be successful. So there's uncertainty there already. Because if there's no uncertainty, it should be 100%. But the fact that it's 80%, we are disclosing an element of uncertainty. So these are the things that have to be disclosed. So in a note, you should describe the circumstances, that is the thing about the beer issue. Then you have to disclose the amount, which is 150,000. Then you have to also disclose the advice that we got, that there's an 80% chance of them being unsuccessful. So those are the disclosure requirements that will be needed in this particular case. So explaining the above, that means we have to what? Disclose. Now there was general, now in specific terms, disclose the circumstances leading to the recognizing of a contingent liability. That is the suing by the association due to the advertisement which is claimed to have adversely affected their sales. Then disclose the amount of 150,000, the amount of the claim. Right. Then who advised us? Was it management or our lawyers? Right. Then we have what? It was the lawyers. If you can check here, our advice came from our lawyers. Here. Then disclose the lawyer's advice. That is, there is an 80% chance that the claim will be unsuccessful. We're not disclosing the note. They said explain what will be disclosed. So I moved from the specifics according to the standard into the from the general according to the standard. Then I applied those general to the specific.